down the side of the paper for us somehow, and then use each letter of your name to come up with a good, positive, descriptive word about yourself.
So at this point, when she's describing writing your name down the side of the paper, I would pick an example of a name, maybe like Sam or whatever the student's name was, and I would show it going down the page, like S-A-M, going down the left side of the page, so that it's a better representation of what she means rather than just using the English words to describe that. And I would do this because in the IEP it says that you can use some ASL concepts, and I'm guessing that that would be one of them that would be good.
Some of your posters, your projects were excellent. Some of the things I received were superb. Some of them were good. You write the word, okay, never to make it come. Them were not. It was just a matter of worth 2 points. Them were not. It was just a matter of people. Them were not. It was just a matter of people taking some root. They were very, very nice. Got 5 points if you did it. 25 points was neatness. You know, when you wrote your things, were they straight? Were they orderly? Or did you kind of write up and down all over the place?
At this point, when the teacher is drawing on the board the straight lines and the messy lines, what she's drawing there I don't think is important for the student. I could just describe that in my interpretation. So normally, if what the teacher was drawing on the board was important, I would wait for the teacher to draw on the board so that the student could see that. And then I would interpret what she had been saying while she was describing the drawing, so that they can be simultaneous. But here, I don't think what she was drawing, just lines, I don't think that was important, so I would just interpret over when she was drawing on the board.
That was important. And the last 5 points, the other is, that was due last week, that looks like this. If they use a project that's due tomorrow, where they say everybody is doing it, or a testimonial when they say Joe Montana says use this.
At this point, when she talks about Joe Montana, I think I would add the words famous football player onto his name in the interpretation. And also she says Jim Kelly later. I would do the same thing, because I think maybe this deaf student's fund of information may not include these people. Having deaf parents at home, maybe the deaf student hasn't had any incidental learning, hasn't been exposed to these names or these people before, maybe hasn't watched football before, and so I would want to add that in there to take that into consideration.
Where they take an important person, well, that was due last week, that looks like this with all the assignments in it, and you have this sheet right here. Everybody look familiar, vaguely? Good. Okay, you have 6 different advertising techniques. Bandwagon, where they say everybody is doing it, or a testimonial when they...
Here, when the teacher says bandwagon and testimonial, I would finger spell these words and mouth them. I wouldn't just pick a sign and use them, because in the IEP it says that they want the interpreter to finger spell important concepts and mouth them, so that the student has this information, has these words in their vocabulary, and these 2 words are going to be important for the project that the student is going to have to do soon. So I would highlight those 2 concepts.
Say, Joe Montana says you did that the last time for fun. And the little kid, remember what he gave? What were some of the reasons he was using the alcohol? And they would also use pot. Think back to what they said. They said some real clear things. Good. Right?
He said that because he's going to college and everyone's doing it.
Excellent.
At college.
Excellent. His exact words were, I'm going to college and all the boys and girls in college do it.
The teacher here has repeated what the student said, his answer, and she does this repeatedly. She repeats all the answers that the students say, and this is good from a viewpoint of interpretability. For if you needed to catch up, if you didn't want to rush and add in the student's answers, you could just say the teacher's answer. But if you get into a habit of doing this, then the student may come to think that this class doesn't involve much student participation, and so the student may not feel like it's appropriate or may not feel motivated to participate and answer questions in the classroom. We want the student to feel like a ratified participant in the class, and so maybe I would interpret it as, if I didn't have time to have the students answer and the teacher repeating the answer, I would say maybe whoever the student was, Frank, maybe I would interpret Frank said and then his answer, so that it seemed like the student could tell that other students were answering questions and it wasn't just the teacher coming up with the answer.